Cholera is an acute diarrheal illness caused by infection of the intestine with Vibrio cholerae bacteria.
Now, the disease can cause severe dehydration and can be fatal if not treated properly. And so today, or even promptly, by the way, we're focusing on how to curb these outbreaks and protect our communities. And so to do that, we're being joined via video chat with Dr. Japhet Olugbogi. He is the Medical Officer of Health at Ifelodun, LCDA, and he's the Vice Chairman of the Medical Guild Lagos. Welcome to the program, Dr. Japhet.
Thank you very much for having me on the program this morning.
Thank you for coming on. Now, cholera outbreaks have been a recurring issue in many parts of the world, and we've seen it, especially in our region, in the past 1 month. It's been an outbreak that was unexpected. And now that the rainy season is back and we've seen the flooding and, the water issue, could you start by, explaining what cholera, how it even spreads, especially at this time?
Thank you very much for having me on the show once again. Cholera, it's a disease that is caused by the transmission of the bacteria, Vibrio cholerae. And the Vibrio cholerae bacteria inhabit dirty places, dirty water, dirty food, fecal matter. Fecal matter now is poo. So the disease is being spread when people take contaminated substances into their mouth. And these contaminated substances can be in form of food, water, or dirty or contaminated fingers, for that matter. So, because we say that cholera is transmitted through the fecal-oral route, that is to say that when the fingers pick something that's been contaminated by the cholera bacteria and they ingest it, and that's when people start having cholera. Now, cholera is a disease of poor sanitation. I call it a disease of poor sanitation because it is endemic in areas where there is poor sanitation. There is lack of adequate wash services being water, sanitation, and hygiene, and I'm talking about toilet facilities. Now, the cholera outbreak, unlike what you said, is not unexpected because we have been having this cholera outbreak for the past couple of years during the rainy season. And the reason why it seems to persist or prevail during the rainy season is because when the rains fall and there is heavy flood, the flood or the stream of water washes fecal matter, waste, refuse that have been dumped elsewhere and wash them into source of water, source of food, and into homes. And then so these contaminate domestic utensils, cups, source of water, and food that may have been cooked or uncooked. So the rainy season is what actually brings out the spread of cholera disease. So people need to be more wary. The government also needs to be more wary, and we always anticipate this while we carry out our day-to-day activities. So in so many parts of Lagos, for instance, so many parts of Nigeria, we have settlements that do not have toilet facilities. They have settlements that do not have potable water. It's a huge challenge in Nigeria. Everybody has to sink or try to sink their borehole or try to dig a well to get water. And of course, because everybody tries to do that on their own accord, they do not observe all the environmental sanitation laws that do come with that.
I mean, before we get into the infrastructural deficit and of course the contribution of private individuals to this very, very unfortunate incident, let's talk about the primary symptoms of cholera itself. How do I know if I've contracted the ailment?
Yes, thank you very much. Those who have cholera will begin to have abdominal cramps after a couple of hours that they've ingested something that's been contaminated by the cholera bacteria, and they start stooling and passing water vomitus. The stooling is such that the stool characteristics is loose, watery stools that may or may not show the rice water appearance, because the classical symptom of cholera is that the individual will be passing rice water stool. That is, when you cook rice, you see that the water is a bit cloudy or whitish in color. So that is the typical appearance of the cholera stool. But you may not have that, but the individual will have loose watery stools of so many episodes, and they may or may not also have vomiting with it, and that's why the Yoruba term it àìsàn onígbá méjì. That is to say that as you are vomiting and you are using the bucket to collect the vomitus, you're also using the bucket to collect the poo as well. And then the individual will be getting weak and weaker by the hour. They will have dehydration, and then the dehydration will now depend on how many episodes of vomiting or stooling that they've had, because the dehydration progressively gets worse by the day or by the hour rather. And so when somebody is getting sick like that, getting weak like that, getting dehydrated like that, and they're going to have malaise, that's a general feeling of unwell. They're going to have delirium. They're not going to be, fully conscious of their environment. So these are the symptoms of cholera. When the disease progresses to a bad stage, the kidneys may shut down or partially shut down. And then when the kidney shuts down, of course, the individual can pass away. So, and that is why cholera is very dangerous, because it can kill an individual within a few hours of onset of disease.
Now, death is something that we clearly don't want. So let's talk about prevention, as it being the key to curbing cholera outbreaks. So what are the most effective measures, communities and individuals can take to prevent the spread of cholera? I mean, you are the medical officer of an LCDA, so tell us some of these measures.
Yes. First of all, if we start on the individual, frequently with soap and water, running water, when you and do the measure, you should come out and wash your hands with soap and running water before you eat or before you even attempt to shake another person or take your hands to the mouth. And the reason why we say wash your hands frequently with soap and running water is because you don't even know, or you can't tell exactly when you're going to have to take your hand to the mouth, because it's a no-brainer for us to probably put our fingers in our mouth. So we should wash our hands with soap and running water. We should wash our vegetables and fruits very well before we eat them. We should also cook our vegetables well. We should cook raw food very well before we eat them. And after we have finished cooking our food, we should store them in a clean and safe environment. We shouldn't leave food open for pests or rodents to pest on. Cook your food, close the pot. If you have served the food, make sure that you cover the plate that you have served the food on. If you're not ready to eat your food and it's cold, you should ensure that you warm the food or you consume it again. Then apart from that, we ensure that grains are stored in containers that are, that can be covered. We won't allow rodents or pests to have access to them. And those who take water should ensure that they clean the tips of the bottled water or clean the body of the pure water sachet before they consume it. Now, because if you take pure water, you are not certain that the water inside the pure water is, safe for consumption. They are not also sure that the water they use to ice the pure water itself is also safe for consumption. So you should clearly clean the surface of the sachet water very well and clean the tips of the bottled water very well. We should also boil our water because one of the challenges is that the source of water we have in not only in Lagos, in Nigeria, most of them are not potable. Most of them are not drinkable. So we should boil our water. before we take them. Because of the fact that we are a group of people that we like to, socialize a lot, we should ensure that when we go out, we should not eat anyhow because we don't know the source of the food that we are eating. We don't know how it was prepared. So I would like to say that people should also endeavor to prepare the food in very sanitary environments. Those who make beverages, those who make food.
Dr. Olugbogi, I mean, we might never, I mean, as individuals, we might, we can never be too careful. But my next question, which of course might just be my final on this, segment of the program, is what is the, well, I call it cure right now? What should we do once, you have contracted it? Is there a special arrangement by the government, a response center that we can run to? I hear some people say, just keep taking salt water. You pour salt inside water, the more concentrated the salt in the water, your likelihood of getting, cured. I would like you to, if possibly dispel that, and if there are arrangements, by the government to response centers that people can go to should they notice any of these symptoms.
Yes, there are places where people should go to. Once you notice that you have any of these symptoms, or your colleague or your neighbor or your family member has any of these symptoms, you should take them to the nearest health facility, be it private, be it public. There are primary healthcare centers everywhere, especially in Lagos. I keep using Lagos as a reference because I'm sure that's where majority of us are. And of course, I am more conversant with what is happening in Lagos. The governor, in his magnanimity, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has also directed all the public health facilities, primary health centers, the general hospitals, the teaching hospital, to ensure that they treat all cases of cholera for free. Government is going to be responsible for their care. So anybody who comes down with symptoms of cholera should proceed to the nearest health facility. There are treatments there for them, but at the home of the individual, in the meantime, you can prepare what we call a salt water solution. Now, it is a misnomer to say the individual should take salt water. It is not just salt water. It is what we call ORS, oral rehydration therapy. And that oral rehydration therapy does not contain just salt alone. It is a liter of water, a liter of clean boiled water with 1 spoonful of sugar and 5 spoonfuls of salt mixed together. And this individual should be drinking it as much as possible when they are having cholera. When they do this, they can now take the individual to the health facility for proper treatments. Apart from that, the private facilities can also treat cholera as well. If they can't find any public facility.
I seem to have lost Dr. Japhet there. Dr. Japhet Olugbogi, he is the medical officer for Ifelodun FC, LCDA. He's also the vice chairman of the Medical Guild Lagos, and he was just talking to us about curbing cholera, giving the latest outbreak on cholera there.